What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and let's kick this episode off the right way with great news on the health front for Mr. Damar Hamlin. Excellent news this week. Reports are he has been released from the hospital. He was able to watch the game from the hospital before his release, the Buffalo game, and the opening play of that game. Buffalo returned the kickoff all the way for the touchdown, and they say Damar Hamlin went crazy, and he jumped and he hopped up and down and pulled tubes out of his arms and set the alarms off at the hospital, and they had to come in and calm him down. But great news that he is apparently well on his way to recovery. So that's the way we're going to kick off episode 75. This is my milestone 75th episode, and it also coincides with the Rams being put out of their misery. Finally, this dreadful season is over, and I am happy to report I got out of my season ticket contract. I am free of that. I am untangled from the Rams. So I will watch the Rams next season as I usually did from the comfort of my living room sofa moving forward. But on the Rams front, the rumors before the game against the Seahawks even kicked off, the rumors were swirling all around McGenius. McGenius may not be back next season as Rams head coach. Now, in all fairness, this same speculation occurred after the Super Bowl victory last year. But this time, with all that losing that they did, it looks like somewhat of a toll was taken on McG. And apparently he is seriously considering stepping away from the Rams as their head coach. Now, I don't know what AD 99 the Beast will do. You know, last year he as well contemplated retirement and walking away. So all of this remains to be sorted out in the offseason. But you know, McGee's got that Ukrainian bride now. He's a married guy, and reportedly they're offering him lots and lots of money to work in the broadcast booth. And so this time he may very well step away. And so we'll see how it all plays out. But McWonder may be done. Reports are he is going to take some time away to consider his options, and he will let the Rams know what he wants to do. Now, apparently, the Rams were not caught off guard by any of this. Apparently, they have been kept in the loop and were well aware that this was on the table. So we'll keep an eye on Coach McGenius and how his career as head coach of the Rams plays out. Or has he coached his final game? Now, we got a lot to get to this episode. I want to throw in some predictions for Wildcard Weekend. So it's a packed episode. But let's start off with the game analysis. And it's going to be a brief one because this really was a punt fest. It was a punt fest, field goal fest, even though it went to overtime and there was some intrigue in the game. At the end of the day, the Rams, as I predicted, would not be victorious, and Seattle, as it turns out, is headed to the playoffs. Now, LA only scored one touchdown the whole game, and after the second quarter, only managed 3 points. Very typical pattern for the Rams this season. And Seattle wasn't much better. They only scored one touchdown the whole game as well, but they managed that extra field goal after the Baker, who was not cooking at the right temperature. The Baker had the temperature too low. And so after that interception by the Baker in overtime, Seattle would go on to win that game. Now, inactives before the game, well, we knew AD 99 was going to be shut down for the year, and the only other inactive of note, Stoney, the stone-handed one, was also inactive for the Seattle game, the final clunker of a miserable Super Bowl title defense, the worst Super Bowl title defense in NFL history. Now, I'll say who had a good game, though. Ashes had a very compelling game. 2 interceptions, 5 tackles, was very active. You know, B-Wags led the team in tackles on the season, and he led the team in tackles against his old mates in Seattle with 7 tackles. And B-Wags inspires Ashes, I can tell. And so Ashes was pumped up trying to play hard and help Bobby Wagner pull out a win against his old team. And on the very first play of the game for Seattle, Geno Smith gets picked by Ashes. Ashes would also pick him again later in the game. But after all was said and done, the Rams primarily put field goals up on the board. McG hit all his field goal attempts. And though they led 13-6 going in at halftime, as I mentioned, they only would manage a paltry 3 more points in the second half. And they ended up going to overtime at 16-16. And of course, as you know, they lost there after the Baker undercooked that pass. The LA defense played well overall. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad at all if Raheem Morris got promoted up to head coach in the event that McGenius decides to step away. Although, more than likely, as we probably know, that will not happen. But that defense, as I said, played pretty well this season under Raheem. And among the defensive standouts, B-Wags, of course. Ashes played well in his season finale. And Taylor the Rapper had 5 tackles as well. Now, the Baker, as I mentioned, undercooking. And his totals were pretty paltry. He was 13 for 25 for 147 yards with an interception. That's not big time. But I will say this. Cam the Grill Akers had it grilling. He kept the grill hot. He rushed for over 100 yards, 21 carries for 104 to be precise. That's a 5-yard per carry average. And he has now rushed for 3 consecutive 100-plus yard games. So give it up for the Grill. And yet, still in all, Seattle won virtually every statistical category in this game, except for interceptions. Geno Smith threw 2 to the Baker's 1, and third down efficiency. But otherwise, Seattle had more passing yards, more rushing yards. They had more yards per play. The time of possession exceeded the Rams, more first downs, more total plays, etc., etc., etc. Now, here's a bit of interesting news that came out a day after the game. When asked whether or not McGenius stepping away would affect his decision to return next season, Matty from the D, a.k.a. Doctor Who, also known as the Poltergeist, said he's coming back regardless of what McWonder does. The Polty will be back in Rams horns next season. A final point of interest. The Rams had an awful year. We all know that. And I believe they had the 5th worst record in the NFL, which means they'll get a high first-round draft pick. They'll pick 5th in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. And talk about insult to injury. They don't even get their high first-round draft pick. You know who does? Detroit. The Lions will claim the Rams' first-round draft pick as a part of the Poltergeist trade, the Poltergeist deal. And so Detroit, who showed pretty well this year despite not making the playoffs, they did end up above 500 with the golfer. And on top of it, they get their pick and they get the Rams' high draft pick coming up in 2023. Ouch! Insult to injury. So let's get to predictions. Wildcard Weekend is coming up, and I want to give you my picks. This is the way I see it. The 49ers, them damn Niners, should have no trouble at all with the Hawks. I think Jacksonville is going to take the Chargers down, and I think the Bills will romp over the Fins. Fins down, Dolphins out. I think the Vikes will hang on and defeat the G-Men, the New York Giants. And I don't think Cincinnati's going to have too much trouble with Baltimore. Things are a little sketch in Baltimore at this time. And the final game, the old GOAT, I think, will prevail against them damn raggedy Cowboys. And so those are my picks for Wildcard Weekend. Now, as I mentioned, this has been episode 75. It's a milestone. And so what I need you to do is throw me one of these. Okay? Throw it to me now. Please subscribe if you haven't already and ring the bell. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when I drop a new video. Now I'm cooking in the lab on a Lakers mid-season video. I'm going to hit you with that shortly. And as I promised at the end of last year, I'm working on some changes to the platform. So look for that in the days and episodes to come. And so until the next time, my friends, which won't be too long from this time, take care of yourself. Be safe and prosperous in this new year. One love.